Hi guys, we're back to Shenanigans and More, and the stupid sign just cannot fit. But welcome back. So like I did promise, I will have my friend Desiree.
Hey.
Hi. Tell us a little bit about depression and being diagnosed and how she's handled it and how it sort of started for her.
Have a child. Literally.
That's the answer to everything. Can't you see I'm here fighting for to not be oppressed, to have children? I cannot be forced. Okay.
I was. Just kidding. I love him.
I have to say that I'm a mom. Okay. So, I'll be starting to ask you a couple of questions like we talked about, and you can always skip if you don't want to answer, but just not to pressure you, but these answers will help people who identify with you or, might be able to get some help or
no pressure.
No pressure. No pressure.
None whatsoever.
So yeah. All right. So let's begin. Now that I read the first question, it sounds kind of stupid. Have you ever been depressed?
Yeah, I read it and I was like, isn't that the point of the podcast? But yes.
But I think I meant more like how early on do you feel like was the first?
Oh shit! Oh man, I was young.
Yeah.
I started having I guess considered episodes of depression when I was 8 or 9.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's when I was primarily oh yeah, she might be fighting depression. Diagnosed, I guess.
Okay.
They're moving a lot, so it was a lot of situations. But I feel like doctors would always be like, "Oh, she's just depressed about moving," and or going through her little emotions and da 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 da. And I'm just like, no, just fuck the world. I hated the world.
Okay, so a little background that you don't have to completely answer, but at that point your parents were still together?
On and off.
Oh,
my mom and dad have been going on and off for they got married twice and divorced 3 times.
Oh wow.
So there's all that.
Oh, okay.
Make that make sense?
Yeah. See, background makes a difference. Okay, so yeah, I was gonna ask you how were you diagnosed and how did that follow to it?
Well, it was mostly just I would always be tired, and I would always be kind of to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the middle child, so black sheep of the family. Everyone says the middle child goes through that crap.
Yeah.
And I went through some major situations when I was 13.
Okay.
And they were basically like, "Oh, you're supremely depressed." And I was like, yes, I am.
That's what I've been trying to tell you guys.
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. And that's when it finally went on my real charts. Oh, you suffer major depression.
It took 5 years for it to be
for it to
real.
Be, a whole manic episode for it to be oh, you need help. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And when you were finally diagnosed and told that this is what you had, how did that feel? Did it make sense suddenly? Did it make you feel better to be diagnosed or to have okay, I'm gonna get help?
No, because they're always just go to therapy, it'll help you, talk about your feelings. And I'm like, I don't do well with talking about my feelings. I cope.
She's gonna hate me because that's what I preach all the time. Talk to your emotions.
I don't cope well with talking to. I don't cope well with recognizing feelings at all. At all. I cope well with just kind of finding a solution or distracting myself, and then I'm like, all right, let's do it. I get over it. But when I have to talk about my feelings, I feel like I'm being forced to do something I'm not comfortable with, and I break down. I'm just oh, I don't. No.
Do not come near me.
No,
so then how were you treated?
They forced me to go to therapy. When you're under 18, you can't
say anything.
Or under.
But were you able to you could go and not talk to them, right?
Yeah, and it would just be fucking waste of money, which I did. I'm just yeah, no.
Oh, so then you actually your parents had to pay?
Well, it was through the insurance. The insurance
okay.
had to pay, but they work for the insurance. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had to pay.
Essentially.
Essentially they had to
You were
pay.
screwing your own parents.
Yeah. And it was kind of like it took forever, and then when I did say something, I was just like, man, like I don't get along with my family, and then they took it to this big situation where it was like, oh well, you're harming yourself because of your family, and it was like, no,
were they trying to pull you out of the family?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was like, oh, you know what? That's why I don't talk to people, because you guys just fucking twisted my words. Like, you just know. And it turned into, like, this big situation. Like, it was just ridiculous. And it made me hate people even more. So I was like, this is why I don't talk about people, or talk about, I feel like a psychiatrist is literally just, you're paying someone to be your diary.
Yeah.
What's the point of that? Like, they don't really give you anything, in my opinion, anything effective to cope with your feelings. They just want to listen to you and kind of judge you. Like, you're paying someone to judge you. There we go. Like, that's literally what it is.
That's the complete opposite of what I just said in the last episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. But
no.
literally what
You are here
like,
to say what you want to say.
Yeah.
This is the forum for you to say what you want to say about it.
Yeah, like, you're supposed to be explaining how you feel, whatever, but what they're doing is taking how you feel and judging it and turning it into something that they think should be right.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
You get me? That's how I feel like it is, where I'm just like, I'm telling you how I feel, and then you're thinking like, okay, well, this is going to be the solution for me, when in reality it's like, that's not going to work for me. Like,
right.
You think that's going to work for me. That's not going to work for me. Just because you took a class on something doesn't mean everyone functions the same.
Right.
Like,
oh, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that's my POV. Fuck therapy.
And did they make you take pills since you were a kid?
No.
Okay. And
that was by choice.
Okay.
Because I obviously know that I like suffer from severe depression. But as I got older, like, it started to, my episodes started to become more like recognizable, where it wasn't just like I'm tired or
right.
I didn't know what I was feeling. It was more like, oh shit, like that onset of like depression would settle, and I'm like, oh, I'm going through it. Like,
I'm feeling it again. Like,
yeah,
I'm on it.
And I would just get like exhausted, and I would get irritated, and I would just not want to talk to people or deal with people. I would ghost people. I'd be like, I don't want to move. I don't want to do this. I don't like talking to someone. Took all of my energy, which doesn't work because I work in customer service. So, to sign my paychecks, I was like, I need to get out of this.
Yeah.
And it would be like really tough. So coping got a little bit harder the more like I grew up, because depression hit differently with the situations.
Right.
You know?
Like, it started to affect your job. It started to affect your living.
It wasn't just me being depressed in my mom's house. Yeah. Right? It was more like, oh shit, it's affecting your job. It's affecting your well-being. It's affecting your life. And so I would like I said, it got harder to figure out how to cope. And then eventually when I had my son, I was like, you know what? I can't keep going through these episodes. And I was the one who like initiated, like, can I try this out?
Right.
And my doctor was like,
as in the pills.
Yes, the pills. Yes. Sorry, that was like a long intro to the pills. But yeah, I actually was the one who initiated it, because my doctor was like, oh, I see that you've like suffered depression all this time. And I'm like, honestly, I have, but this is different. This is something that I'm not doing for myself. It's more for like, I can't afford to do this because I have my son.
Right.
Like, I need to not be in this hole while I'm with my son. Yeah. Yeah. So again, have kids.
And because you need to like, you know that you need to have your job and like make sure that things get done and cook at home.
Yeah, I can't just be like,
I'm gonna die
sad,
and like not do anything.
Exactly. I can't be just sad and irritated.
Fuck the world. And, like,
exactly. While like a little 1-year-old is sitting there like trying to play with his mom, like that doesn't work out. No,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. Okay. And so do they help? Do you feel like the pills help? Besides your reaction that you didn't want to feel like you were addicted to them.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing for me, because I know someone that personally takes them, and he cannot live a day without them. Like, he gets freaking irritated, like so irritated. Like, I try talking to him and he's just like on edge, and I'm like, dude, it's not even like
a big deal.
It's like just something for your mood, but it really affects. He's been taking it for like 10 years, and it really affects his mood. Me, on the other hand, because I witnessed that in person, I was a little bit adamant about fully taking them. Yeah. So I would only take them for like 2 months, feel better, and take them, like, stop taking them, and then take them on again, take them off. But I found out that actually affects you in a negative way.
If you do that.
Yes. My doctor was like, you're supposed to take it periodically for 6 months. Let it, help you cope and then wean off of it. Because if not, you're basically you're causing yourself to go through a
mood swing roller coaster.
Yeah, and then your depressive episodes actually affect you worse. Sorry, I'm shaking the.
No, it was me because of doing this.
Oh. But yeah, it comes on a lot worse if you do that because you're tricking your mind into thinking that you're like, okay, not, and then you're really just like you're high wiring your brain.
So I have a question since you brought that up, and my friend also brought up the pills. Do you think it does like what she was explaining was that they made her mom kind of, like you said, be in a better mood or whatever, but she was taking them so much instead of taking them properly. I don't know if it's like one a day or how they're supposed to be taken.
It depends on your dosage, but
okay. So for her, her family member was not taking them according to the diet, like how she was prescribed. Mm-hmm. She was more like, oh, I'm starting to feel sick, like I'm gonna take another one. Oh, I can feel it like running off my mood, like I'm starting to feel sad again, I'm gonna take another one. So it wasn't like she was managing them properly or like how she should have, how she was prescribed them. She was just like on one,
self-diagnosing on top of it.
Yeah.
Or self-prescribing it, basically.
Self-prescribing it, yeah. Because it was more like, I don't like how I feel right now. I'm just gonna take another one. And then she, it came to the thing where like, while she was on it, she wasn't able to drive. She was like dazed, or something, at the beginning, and so they almost had a car accident because of it, because she was driving, and so she freaked out and she stopped taking them. But again, she wasn't taking them properly. And I don't know exactly if like she was like you being monitored by the doctor or not, like to make sure that it was taken properly and that it wasn't.
I mean, like I wasn't monitored. Like they like kind of just prescribe it to you and expect you to take it correctly. I was just I told her.
You did told her.
I told her. I was like I don't want to get addicted to it, so I only take it this way. And she was just like, oh, you're doing that wrong. And I was like, oops.
That explains it.
Well, shit. Yeah, I feel like if you overtake that, you can definitely crosswire your brain to thinking like you're kind of like you're numbing yourself to emotion,
right?
And you definitely could become like not mentally unstable per se, but like you can definitely
dependent.
Exactly, emotionally dependent, mentally dependent, like just physically dependent on it, and that would totally screw you up.
Yeah.
But there are times where that medication, because it does alter your brain function, your mood, everything, that you can actually be so out of it that would cause a crash. That makes a lot of sense because some of these dosages are like
absurd.
Yeah. And I'll be talking sometimes and I'm just like, what was I saying? And then like, no, seriously, you see me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see me. Where I'm just,
now it's like making sense. So I'm like,
I'll be talking mid-sentence and I'm like, I'll try like jumping to a different conversation and then totally forget what the fuck I was saying, and I was like, what? Yeah. And it looks like a stupid moment, but in reality it does have a lot to do with like the types of medications you take, and that's one of them, where it's like you lose your train of thought.
Yeah.
It's nothing bad, but it's just a side effect. Every medication has a side effect.
Yeah.
So, which is really funny because the side effect is suicidal tendencies or thoughts, and I'm just like,
even though that's what we're trying to fight.
Yeah. I'm like, well, shit.
So you already said therapy hasn't helped you, and it didn't help you. But
anti-therapy.
Can you feel? Okay.
Yeah.
You and I are gonna have this war now.
Sorry.
I preach for therapy.
Like we get along in everything else but that.
But that.
You gotta have a difference somewhere.
See, the thing is, I'm just a failed therapist. That's why.
See, okay, talking emotionally or like talking about your emotions to someone like a friend or someone that you, I guess, are very trusting in is different than paying someone to literally tell you what you need to change about your life.
Right.
Because
the reason why to me is that why I praise about going to therapy is because oftentimes, especially in our culture, is that one, if you tell your parents, you know, it could be like,
dude, my parents used to always be like, what did it? No, my mom would be like, what did I do wrong?
exactly.
And I'm like,
yeah,
it's me.
Yeah.
Like,
stop
I
blaming
hate
yourself.
myself.
You're not.
Yeah.
That
Like,
you putting it on yourself doesn't make me feel any better.
No, yeah, it doesn't, and it makes it so much worse. And they're like, you don't need help. You don't have this. You don't have that. Well, I didn't do anything wrong. I raised you right. And I'm like, okay, it has nothing to do with you. I hate myself.
And it's not
Everything
even like
I do in my life is wrong to me. And I'm like, that's what, like, you're depressed or you're thinking, in my opinion, or when I was going through it, like, what I was thinking was, like, I keep fucking up. I was doing everything wrong. My whole life was a mess because of me. It was never, like, my parents didn't know. And then the fact that I would tell her, like, dude, I'm not, like, I'm fucking depressed. And she would be like, well, you know what? You don't have a reason to be depressed. I'm like,
yeah.
That's not how that works, ma'am.
Yeah.
Miss ma'am.
And that's what I was telling her. I was like, because her family member, my friend, her family member is a different age than us. Mm-hmm. I told her that when I was going through it, I feel like I kept asking for help and I just never got it. You know, it was just more like my parents thought that I was crazy for like thinking that I needed help, or they were just kind of like, it's just you're a teenager, you're going through it. And I'm like, no, like, seriously, there are times where I don't want to be here. Like, you don't understand. Like, you know, you can tell me that my life is pink and perfect, but I don't see it that way. Or, you know, eventually when it was like a real serious thing for me, when I had to leave school, it was like that. It was like, I have no reason to get up. And then it was like, I would plan and be like, all right, tomorrow for sure, finally, I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to do these things. And then tomorrow came and I was just like,
fuck this.
I don't want to get up.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even want to eat. Yeah. And like, you know, and then like you said, I actually, like, you start to blame yourself for a lot of things. And like, to me, it was like having to leave school and like my ex trying to get me pregnant and not being able to for like X amount of time. And so was always like, to me, it was always like, what the fuck? Like, I can't even do, like, there are little kids over here, like 15-year-olds getting pregnant, and I can't even get pregnant, you know, and
that's what depression is. You basically just self-sabotage your whole life.
Yeah.
Where it's like you replay everything that you did wrong in your head. That you get tired and you sit there, you lay there, you kind of wallow in your own self-pity. Yeah. And it just, that is literally what, like, for me, what depression is. It's just... Yeah. You're not blaming anyone but yourself, and you just keep replaying what you think you did wrong. Yeah. And then it's just it's a thing. It's a cycle. It's exactly. It's like you can't really feel good about yourself because you blame yourself for everything, and that's what really sucks because of the fact that you get so exhausted about blaming yourself that you continue to blame yourself. Yeah, it's just kind of like, damn, dude. You know, I'll be laying there so tired, not wanting to get up, and then just playing those scenes back in my head, like I fucked up there, or I did that wrong, and it's like, damn. So that's what really sucks about depression is like you can't really get out of it because you're just so tired and you just keep thinking about what you did wrong to make you even more depressed. And
then the worst part is like let's say I'll tell you, well, Desiree, why don't you I don't know, why don't you just get up and go for a walk, or why don't you not think like that? And you're like, gee, thanks. Like, I didn't think about that. Right. Like,
it's like, if I had the energy to do that, you think I wouldn't do that? Like, no, I can't even, like, mentally, I'm like, you're right. Physically, my body is...
The signal doesn't work.
Yeah, like when you're depressed, that's exactly... There's no connection there.
No.
At all. Like, mentally, I'm like, yeah, I should get up. I should do this. But physically, you're like 1,000-pound weight just... It's not going to move. Yeah, like, your body's just like, no, dude, why even get up? What the fuck? And so it's like a whole mental battle and a physical battle at the same time, where it's just like, I can't. I want to get up. I can't. It's not going to happen. Yeah.
It's crazy. So do you think it's genetic? Did you ever have times where you thought maybe your mom could have been depressed?
I think everyone's depressed at one point in their life. It's just whether or not you're severely depressed or just kind of like a shallow depressed, where it's like, I'm going through an episode and that's it.
And then you can like jump up over the hurdle there eventually.
But I think everyone goes through like some form of depression in their life, because you got to think about it. Some people hit rock bottom and then, like, you know. Yeah. So I don't think it's genetic per se, I guess. Yeah. But I feel like everyone goes through some form of depression.
Okay. Well, my next question was gonna be, when did you notice these changes in moods? But you said you were really young.
Yeah.
You were really, really young.
I hated the world.
Yeah, and I was gonna say how'd you stay motivated to keep going, but you already said your son. But before that, anything specific that could have helped you gone out of it?
Hell no. I know that's just a full blown honesty. Like anytime I would be around my family, I would be. I'm not blaming my family. Like by no means am I blaming my family. But it's like every time I would be around my family, I feel like depression was just constantly there because I was the black sheep of the family because
Right.
of my history with depression. So it was like I never fit in and I was always judged because of the fact that I was depressed from such a young age and all the shit that happened. I feel like I never fit in with my family.
Yeah.
So it's like the only way that I was able to like really like get out of it was when I moved out. But that was like at 6 or I got kicked out actually at 16. Um and that was like the moment where I was like, okay, I need to learn how to cope with my depression, get over it, get kind of like, you know,
Got your shit together.
Yeah, get your shit together because there's no time for you to be depressed. Of course, I still had like depressive episodes and stuff, but it wasn't.
Well, because you could be a functioning depressed person.
That's
you
true.
know, you can go
That's
to work.
Very true. Like
and
I would go to work and then come home and then fucking be like, dude,
fuck the world.
Yeah, like
I'm
why
done.
am I even living my life? Like literally, and it was just so crazy. Like I was like, my mom fucking kicked me out over a dog.
Right.
Like, cause she didn't want me to keep the dog, and I kept the dog. And she's like, well, you know what? If you want to keep the dog's gonna be out by Saturday. You can be out by Friday. I was like, fuck, okay. And so I like, yeah.
So you packed your shit enough?
Yeah. Well, I kind of had to. She was like, you need to be out by Friday, and I was like, all right, fuck you then. But to this day, it's my fault.
Because of a dog.
Yeah, it was literally because she didn't want me. Yeah. Anyways, so it, like, that would also be one of the biggest things where I would come home and be like, dude, my mom didn't even fucking, like, my mom chose some bullshit over, like, helping, like, yeah, just because I had a job, she was like, you could make it on your own. Like, I think that's what she thought, but that, when I was younger, that's what I used to think, is like.
Have you ever talked to her about this? About that specific time?
Oh, I tell her all the time that she doesn't like me. I'm not her favorite child. My sister is, and she's like, you're crazy. She's like, if she was my favorite child, I wouldn't be helping you with your son all the time. And I'm like, but
that kind of comes with the territory of being a grandma. But
yeah.
Okay.
No, but I mean, I've learned that she's a good mom. It's just we don't get along sometimes, you know, because we're so alike. Sometimes
I was gonna say that happens when you guys are alike.
Sometimes where it's just like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
But
and then she sees herself in you, and she's like, "Oh my god, I can't stand her."
When it comes to like depression or talking about like that type of like, again, I don't cope well with speaking about my emotions. But when I did or do try to talk to her about it, it's kind of like she responds kind of aggressively, where it's like, "What do you need to be depressed about?" She doesn't cope, like she doesn't speak about it.
So one of my things is that we mentioned before, and that I'm gonna tell you right now, is that we keep talking about like the culture, the taboo about talking emotions, and their pride. You know, that it could be your pride or their pride. Like you said, I tried talking about it to her because one, she's your mother. You know, two, you trust her. You know, and you'd expect a different comeback, you know, response to that, and then you get the whole like, but one of the things that I am going to tell you, and I think I told you already before, is that, with our parents, especially when we're also like the strong ones in the relationship, you know, they tend to not like to see us be weak or like need help or feel sad or be depressed or cry over a boy or a girl. You know, they don't like us to be that way. They don't like to see us hurt because then they hurt. Because I'm pretty sure you would hate to see somebody hurting your kid or your kid hurting over a partner, you know. But like,
touch my son, I wish you would. Hurt my son physically or mentally, I wish you would.
But that's the thing, like sometimes when we do want to come to them, this is why I'm always talking about therapy, because I feel like at least that way it's not someone who's directly already involved with you. Like in the case that my friend, for instance, like they all went through a sudden death of a family member. And so when when she was trying to talk about it, and then to her daughter or to her friend or to like the same family member who like lost a family member, then she was afraid of like speaking about it because she was going through the same thing. You know what I mean? And so like in this case, like for you want to talk to her about it, but she doesn't want to hear about it, or she wants you to toughen up because it's like, I don't want to see you hurting. You know?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But at the same time, like, well, I told you before, where it's like anything like regarding it's just so, it gets on my nerves, man. Anytime I like talk about something regarding like my situation or my feelings or something that I'm going through, she loves to compare.
Like, I hate that.
Compare her whole life to mine. Where it's like, well, when I was with your dad, this, I'm like, I like, I'm talking to you so I can get some kind of advice.
Yeah.
Or to even just have an open ear. Because I rarely talk about my feelings.
Most of the time, that's what you want to be listened to.
Exactly, like, and I very rarely do that, and she knows that. Like, I don't talk about my feelings. Like, come on, dude. Even like my baby daddy says that shit. So the fact that I come to her for shit like that, and then she kind of like, oh, well, your feelings don't mean shit because I went through it and I got through it,
and I got over it.
Okay, like. She is
and I had
like,
no help.
When I had you and I had your sister, I did this. I was working 2 jobs. I'm like, ma'am. Okay then. All right.
Walking
then.
away.
Yeah, I will walk away. I'm like, all right. Yeah. She's like, well, then why do you come to me for advice? I'm like, not for this. That's for sure. Like, at all. So it makes it difficult to talk to her about like anything in general. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the biggest reasons why I would not talk to her when I was younger, and now now more so. Yeah. Because it does get tiring after a while. Like, I try to like inform her about like, hey, dude, I'm feeling like shit because I'm depressed. Like, I'm going through it. Like, I'm going through it, and she'll just be like, you have no reason to be depressed. You have your son now, and she's like, you have so much going for you. We're helping you. Da, da, da. I'm like,
that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna be feeling this way.
I'm like, that's not how that works. Like, okay. Like, you've never been mad? You've told yourself, I'm not mad because I have too much to be happy for? No. Yeah. You feel what you feel. Exactly. So it's kind of like, don't brush off someone's emotions just because you don't think they need to feel that emotion. Like, that's not how feelings work. Like, the fuck?
Or that like, you've never, maybe you've never
shit,
felt like...
on pills. Yeah. Hello? Like, duh.
Or that you've never felt that way, so... You must really
it must not exist. Yeah, you didn't go through
really
it. Or with like you and my dad, you didn't go through it. Oh, then I for sure am not going through it. Like, no. What the
fuck? Any story that like really that you want to share that really kind of like you were like deep into something, or that it was like crazy while like you were going through something?
Find someone to help you cope with. I know that's not a story, but I'm gonna tell you why I said it. No, find someone or something to help you cope.
Well, that was the next question. Advice.
Yeah, find someone or something to help you cope with something. Yeah, it's super difficult, and you feel like your life is just not even worth it at one point in your life or sometime in your life, because everyone does it. I'm being honest, but don't take that initiative to end your life because it's not worth it. I mean. Yeah, it seems like, why the fuck do I even want to keep doing this to myself every single day? Like, I still have how many years of this? Yeah. The fuck? Like, I'm barely 13 and I still got like 80 years of what? Yeah. No? You know? And it's not worth it. Of course, a lot of people don't know that because they actually can they get through it, and that's sad. But it gets better. So somehow or some way, like, it took me having my child to realize, like, my life is worth living. Yeah. I still go through episodes because it's hard, being a single mom and working and going to school and just trying to cope with raising him. But it's worth it every single day of my life to see him grow up, and there's gonna be that pivotal moment in your life where you're just like, dude, I'm so glad I lived to see this day. Yeah. Whether it be you getting married, whether
or to enjoy these people, these moments.
Yeah, like, or whether you meet, like, the best friend you've ever had, and you're just like, wow, dude, I lived that with this long to meet my best friend. Or you just have one memory that sticks with you for the rest of your life, and you're like, dude, I'm so glad I lived through that. Yeah. Like, don't take that initiative to listen to your, like, don't listen to yourself when you're in that really deep dark hole. Like, of course I'm not saying like you need to basically lie to yourself and say, I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain it, but basically what I'm trying to say is don't give up. Definitely don't give up. Find something that will help you get through it, whether it seems impossible or not.
Even if it sounds like a cliche, find the light at the end of the tunnel, something to get you out of it, like something to help you. And the majority of the time too, you'll find.
Oh, by the way, you see what just happened there, where I kind of lost my train of thought. That's what happens.
Yeah,
I was going somewhere with that sentence, and it just went.
Well, I also interrupted. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. No, because I was saying something and I blanked out.
Yeah.
Route. I went left and my thought went right, like, or the other way around.
No, but yeah. So you were talking about finding someone to cope with, like someone to help you cope with, or something to get you to pull through.
Yeah, because like I said, no matter what, even if it's just drawing every day or like writing down your emotions, it's like as simple as that sounds. Because I want to say stupid because I used to hate when therapists would be like, well, write down your feelings.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like, I'm already doing that,
Yeah.
But some people that might be a lifesaver. It really will. Mine with art specifically. I would draw or paint or, I wanted to be a tattoo artist, so that was my goal, where I was like, you know what, I'm going to live through this because of
I want to do.
Yeah, exactly. So I would just draw and paint and kind of like do something to reach my goal and stuff. And it would help me get through life. Of course, I still ended up trying to do some stupid shit, but that's why I'm like letting you know, don't do it. It's not worth it. Find that coping mechanism, and sometimes you might feel like that coping mechanism isn't gonna help you, but it just try. Just really think about it. Try. If you feel like you just can't handle it, talk to someone. It doesn't have to be a therapist. It doesn't even have to be your family. Talk to your best friend. Talk to honestly, the most alleviating thing that you can do is talk to a random person.
We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Talking to a stranger.
I'm literally, because they won't.
And if you find me, I'll listen.
They won't be biased to you. Yeah. Like, you can just literally word vomit your whole life story, and they're just gonna be like, my opinion, because I don't know you, would be, you know what, you can make it through. You can do this. Or some kind, you never know, they can give you life-changing advice. Yeah. They can give you something that's like, holy crap, like,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because again, it's an unbiased opinion. It's someone that's literally just listening to you vent. And it's trippy how that actually works. For someone who doesn't like to talk to people, that shit actually works. So, complete
that's
stranger.
How we met.
Yeah, literally. Just talk to a complete stranger. And that might be weird, but trust me, like, nowadays, everyone's like, all right, come and talk to me. Yeah. Literally. If it's gonna save your life, talk to me. So,
you might not even have to say that. That you're...
No, but I meant, like, they're more open to it nowadays than compared to, like,
before.
Before, I'd be like, who the fuck are you? Like,
why are you talking to me?
Yeah, why are you telling me your whole life story? Now it's more like, oh shit, I think more people are coming to
be open.
Like, coming to accept the fact that mental illness is definitely a thing. So if a person were to come up to you and talk to you and be like, dude, my life, it's like, what the hell, falling apart, or something, I would definitely be an open ear. Like, hell yeah, mental illness is a for sure thing, so I think real. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people are coming into terms with that, and I
feel like our generation,
not only with more... like different sexualities or different.
I'm trying to be all like, I'm young.
You're stupid. You are young.
I forget we're so far apart.
Wow, barely.
But yeah, sorry, I interrupted again. Keep going.
They're more open and they're more coming into terms with the fact where it's like, there's different sexualities, there's different mental illnesses, there's different
identifications.
Exactly, like there's just so many different things going on where it's kind of like you're like, we're becoming more accepting of other people and like whatever their situations are. So you just need to just find that person. Like I said, just random people. You can kind of read a vibe off of someone where they're willing to give you an ear to listen to, like, come on. Or if they're not, so Find out.
And if you run into a block where that person is not super friendly or not super nice, like, don't just give up. Like, I'm sure the next person can, like you said, give you life-changing advice.
Go to a coffee shop, you'll find at least one person. And then you'll find one that has a bad attitude. You'll find one that has business going on. Like, I promise you, coffee shop, library, there's always people that are super open, super talkative. Yeah. Fucking go to your Starbucks, bro. Like, they're always nice there. You know? You know, they're more willing to just be like, hey, how's your day? And then you can just
vomit.
Of course, not while they're working. But, like, someone there is definitely... Because, you know, like, more understanding people... Or at Starbucks, apparently.
Yeah.
Because...
It's a requirement to work there.
Or Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A!
They get paid to be nice. So, there you go. Just don't hold up the freaking drive-thru. Right. But, yeah. That's definitely my recommendation. And definitely, you know.
See us driving by with, like, tissue.
Oh, man.
Chick-fil-A napkins on our faces.
Do you want a brownie? That's the best they can do.
That might make me feel better.
Oh, man. They're probably going to ask you if you're pregnant.
Late night craving.
I'm going through the motions. Are you pregnant? Maybe. I'm just going through
I'm
it
trying to be.
Oh, man. But most definitely. That would be my number one recommendation, is just kind of live through it. Like, you know. It sucks that people at such a young age kind of want to, like, fuck this, dude. But it gets better. Like, once you move out of your family's house, if that's the problem. Once you move out of school, if that's the problem. Or once you don't have to deal with one person that's bullying you, if that's the problem. Shit. Mm-hmm. Whatever that one problem is, it's gonna change. Yeah. Like, your situation, your life is gonna... It's gonna change. Like, whether it's like the simplest thing when you're young looks like the worst thing in life.
I used to feel that I would drown. I'm good. That I would.
Can I?
Oh yeah. I was like, you me. It used to feel like I'm drowning in a glass of water. Like, you know, I don't know if, like, people actually told me that, but I know that I would feel like that. I would be like, oh my god, like, I'm making a big deal and it's not that big of a deal. But to me, it felt like life-ending big deal, like life-changing big deal. That's or like
how it is, like, you know, when you're going through whatever you're going through, that shit feel, especially when you're going through freaking hormones, like, come on, bro, like that shit feels like it's your world-ending shit.
And especially with bullying or anything like
exactly,
that.
Exactly, like, you were going through, and your parents are typically like, you think that's hard? Try, like, working, try having kids, try doing and you're
or
just
when
like,
I was a kid.
Yeah, it's like,
there was no rules about bullying.
Yeah. And you're just kind of like,
you're not just so sentimental.
Like, bruh, come on, man. Like, let me go through my emotions. Let me go through my hormones. Like, of course it is. I totally agree with it. It is hormonal, but let them feel their feelings.
It doesn't mean that they're not happening, though. It doesn't mean that they're not making you feel this way.
Exactly. Though. Let me kind of, like, just feel how I feel, because I might get over it today, tomorrow, shit, next year. But let me feel how I'm feeling. Don't degrade my feelings. Yeah. They don't make them feel like they're below whatever you're going through because you're an adult. No. Yeah. You know, it's hard as a teenager because of the way your brain functions, and that's a complete honesty. You know, like, come on, dude. So let me get through my teenage phase, and I did. Yeah. I got through it, but if you have kids, don't degrade their feelings. Like, don't make them feel like their feelings are not validated. Always have an open ear and an open heart. Like, that's one thing I'm gonna do differently with my kid, is just whatever he feels, I'm gonna let him go through it, and whenever he's ready to open up or talk to me, okay, cool. You know, I'm not gonna judge him. I'm gonna be an open ear and a comfort
have
level.
That road, like, have that open communication, have that open space, bridge to, like,
basically have that open space for him to, like, just fill that void in there with you. You don't have to be like, okay, are you open to talk? No, all right, try again later, or when you're ready, let me know. You know, don't just shut that shit down. Like, that's a big thing where this shit, all generations actually do that shit, where your parents just kind of shut your feelings down. And it needs to be open. That space needs to be open and welcoming, because then they'll never come to you, and that they'll do stupid shit like I did stupid shit. Like, you know, you don't want to wake up to one day your 12-year-old, 13-year-old is dead on their fucking bed or something, or like some, you know,
or on a TikTok video hanging, or
exactly, like, you don't live. Then you're gonna what's gonna happen? You're gonna blame yourself, right? Like, stop it before it starts, basically. it's just
take a look at key notes, like, because one of the things is being able to have a bridge open of communication, but another, like, key notes, like, right away, you oftentimes we do ask for help, at least at some point, you know, and then if you brush it off, you know, I'm not saying it's your fault, but if you brush it off, you know, then you could have saved that whole situation before it even got anywhere, you know. But just, like, keep that in mind. I definitely, one of the things that I always want to be able to have with my, like, if I ever have kids, is, like, have that communication, like, that open, because I like people when they lie. What do they lie? Because they always feel like if they tell their parents the truth, they're gonna get in trouble and stuff. And so it's the same thing with emotions. Like, if you don't show them that they can communicate with you, then they will not.
It starts at a very young age, though. Once you close that gap, that they're never coming back to you ever. Like, that's just not happening. So you need to start, like, leaving that door open at a very young age. Like, honestly.
Like 5 or before.
Yes. Once they start... No, even... Definitely before that.
Yeah.
My 2-year-old, he doesn't really throw tantrums. He's a great kid. But when he has feelings, I talk to him. I'm like, baby, are you feeling a certain way? Like, do we need to be okay? Like, do we need to relax? Like, do we need... Are we hungry? Are we feeling like... you know, he doesn't really throw tantrums, but he does sometimes, like, kind of give up and, like... He goes through the... At that age, they don't know what emotions are.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know what happy is. They don't know what sad is. They don't know what mad is, you know, because it's a new feeling. So when you leave that open space where it's like, baby, like, okay, are we feeling angry? They kind of like, oh, my mom knows what I'm feeling.
Right.
You know, or, oh, my mom's putting a word to what I'm feeling. And it starts building from there. You know, a lot of people think that you have to start, like, listening at 13 or 14 or when they're in high school. No. That
when they're going through the motions of everything else.
Yeah, but that's when they're going through hormones, not when they're going through emotions. When emotions start at such a young age, like, you need to have that, like, that openness with them, and you need to, like, really communicate with them and let them communicate with you. You don't have to push
pressure.
Never pressure, never, because then they just feel, like, trapped. And that's not what you want. What you want is for them to take initiative and be like, "Oh, my mommy is."
Because then you can't go to therapy and talk to somebody because you're like, "I've always been pushed. Like, I don't want to be shoved into, like,
exactly and
being forced."
And if you force someone to talk about their feelings, that shit's gonna bite you in the butt. Like, don't do that. You know,
attitude or run away or
they cope in such a bad way, and it's very negative. Like, it has an adverse effect where you're just kind of like, oh shit, you know, like, these people are forcing me to do shit that I don't want to do, like talk or go to therapy or just, you know. So open that door with your kids always. I definitely recommend that. You know, it's never too late to start, but I do always recommend starting young. Yeah. Because, again, that's when they're first going through emotions that they don't know what they're feeling. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what tantrums are. When they have big feelings and they don't know what they're feeling. That is literally what a tantrum is. It's just like, I don't know how I'm feeling, so I'm gonna yell. Yeah. You know, and you're like, okay, well, you're hungry. We don't throw a tantrum, but, you know, like, you're hungry, that's fine. If you feel hungry, tell me, you know, boom, open that door, and then they're gonna, like, understand, like, okay, I was hungry, you're right. You know, and then they
I can ask for it this way. Yeah, instead of doing a tantrum.
Exactly. So it works in a positive way when you start young. Yeah. That's definitely another.
But that doesn't mean don't not try with your older kids.
No, like, I know. I'm just saying.
Try with your older kids too.
That's why I said it's never too late to start. You know, but it is always, like, in my opinion, where it's like the sooner the better, because once they do get to that hormonal stage and you already shut that door, it's hard. It's so hard because you think they're going through rebellion, they're going through emotions. Yeah. They're going through hormones. Exactly. Especially. So,
well, this has been awesome. I hope you guys had something to grasp, something to learn, something. And if you identify and you want help, there's always help. And you can always come to any of our Faces as Strangers. We will listen to you, or you can pick a stranger and get some help. Or, like I'm always talking about, you can also go to therapy.
If it fits you.
If it fits you and you can express it and you can feel comfortable and you are able to.
I'm just biased, and that's just the honest opinion. I just do not cope well with that. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that it's not a good recommendation, because it can be for a lot of people. Just talking about their feelings to a complete stranger, like I said, I recommended a form of therapy.
Yeah.
Which is talking to a complete stranger.
Yeah.
But if I
or
have to,
your coping thing too, like you know.
yeah. But for me specifically, talking to a therapist, just a specific person, which is a therapist, does not sit well. Like, I cannot do it.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I don't function well with that. I get very, my anxiety goes through the freaking roof. Like, I can't do it, and then I feel like I'm being judged, and then they start repeating the same thing. Oh, how does that make you feel? And I don't cope well with that. That's, well, it's true.
No, you're like, well, I just told you.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, well, okay, well, how, like, well, shit, like,
yeah.
well, you're not listening to me, or like, you know, and then they tell you like that. Well, if you draw, then you should use that as a no shit.
That's
like,
what I'm trying to do.
I do that already. Like, hello, I sit in my room alone and with music and paint. Like, why are you? Duh. Sorry, but I'm just saying that's just me.
Yeah.
But I've seen it work for other people. You don't get me wrong, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm biased. Like I said, I'm anti-therapist because from my personal perspective,
it didn't go well. It doesn't go well.
So by all means, though, if it works for someone else, and you know, you
or journals,
yeah, that too, definitely.
Something.
You know, it can work for anyone else, but for me, it just was not. Yeah, I wasn't down with that get down. So there's that.
But this has been Shenanigans and More. We love you guys. I hope to hear some comments, some likes, and some subscribes. Is that even right? Subscriptions?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Don't listen to me. But it's been a long day. So thank you guys. This has been Shenanigans and More. And this episode has been about depression. Hopefully it helps you, or any one of you. And you get some help. Bye.